Welcome back. We are here on Ito, and this is going to be my daily forecast for Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. If you'd like to support our channel, you're welcome to hit the subscribe button down here in the corner, hit the like button, bell button to see our newest videos, and you're welcome to join us over at Patreon, where you can get access to the full technical analysis, our signal service, and also our online trades and courses. So the link is down below. You're very welcome. So we'll start by looking at the US dollar, and as you can see, we have rallied above the 50 moving average. Technical indicators are looking very bullish at this point, and we are most likely going to see the 20 exponential moving average crossing the 50 moving average, and this is quite a bullish shine, to be fairly honest. We can also see that the MACD is crossing over at 0 here, going into bullish territory. The same goes for the stochastic, and also the CCI is crossing over at 100. So all indicators are pointing to higher levels in the US dollar index. So today we saw the US dollar increase in value or appreciate, and we also saw stocks and also commodities and the indices rally quite significantly. And usually that is not always the case. Usually when the US dollar appreciates, everything else declines in value. But we may see that effect tomorrow in tomorrow's trade. However, we have been rallying above the 50 moving average several times in the past. We were on a rally here all the way above the 50 moving average. The same goes for here. So we have done this several times in the last few months. It does not mean that we are going to have a trend reversal, that we are going to see the US dollar go and trade above the 200 moving average and go all the way above 100 again. This could just mean that we are having a temporary rally and then we'll break down. There will be additional stimulus, and that will act against the US dollar. But at the moment, US dollar trading above the 50 moving average, and as long as that is the case, you should expect stocks, commodities, precious metals, and so on to be pressured down in value. So let's look at the Great British Pound US dollar. So as you can see, we have fallen here quite drastically. However, we are still trading above the 20 exponential moving average. Technical indicators, they are pointing to lower levels. MACD is crossing the signal line, CCI is crossing the signal line, and so is the CCI is very bearish, and so is also the RSI. 20 exponential is holding. If that breaks, that opens the door to 50 moving average at the 1351. But at this current stage, rallies are expected basically from the 20 exponential moving average. Target here is these previous highs. First of all, 1375. After that, we are going towards all the way up to 14. So that is in the long run. We are slowly going towards this level here, and that will probably take a month or two in order to get to those levels. So let's go and look at the US dollar yen. So due to the fact that the US dollar has been appreciating, we can see what basically happens in this currency pair. We were in a channel here. The 50 moving average was acting as a major resistance, and underneath here we had also a lower channel which was acting as support. At the moment, we have crossed the 50 moving average. We're heading up towards the 200 moving average, and it's to be seen whether or not the 200 moving average will be broken. We have tested that all the way back in June, where we rallied above the 200 moving average and then fell again. So this doesn't really mean that we are going to have a trend reversal here. As soon as the US dollar starts depreciating again, you will see this fall. So, but this is a major opportunity in order to sell this, because we could see massive move to the downside when we get to the 200 moving average, or we could see something similar what we saw back in June, where we rallied substantially above the 200 moving average and then just crashed, and we fell all the way down to from roughly 109 all the way down to 102. So technical indicators are still very bullish here. We had a little bit of pullback at the end of the session, but overall, these technical indicators are very bullish. So we may see a gradual increase up towards the 200 moving average. I have no interest to basically enter this market. When we reach the 200 moving average and turn around there, I will definitely be shorting this. So let's look at Euro US dollar. So as you can see, we have fallen quite a bit due to the fact that the US dollar has been appreciating quite substantially. Technical indicators are looking dreadful for the Euro US dollar. So we are testing these previous lows. We have been here several times before. If this breaks, we're most likely going to 12.00. And after that, we are going all the way down to 11.75, give or take, just above the 200 moving average. Yes, if the US dollar continues to appreciate, that will basically weigh in on this currency pair and it will go lower. So this area here is going to be massive support. So we'll just have to see how far this basically falls. A rally from here above the 50 moving average and the 20 exponential moving average opens the door to 12.25 and then beyond that to 12.34. So let's look at the Aussie dollar, US dollar. So as you can see, we have continued this fall towards the 50 moving average. It looks like the 50 is holding at this current stage. We have tested it twice. Technical indicators are fairly mixed. MACD is very bearish. The stochastic is turning around. CCI is very bearish, and the RSI is technically flat at this point. So if the 50 moving average were to be breached, they will fall all the way down to these previous lows here. So 0.74, that is most likely where we'll fall to. We can also look at the Fibonacci retracement and see that our first Fibonacci retracement is here, 0.75. Next one is 0.74. And at 61.8 is 73. So these Fibonacci retracements will be very important if the 50 moving average breaks, because then we'll start to test these Fibonacci retracement levels. Rally from here and above the 20 exponential opens the door to 77.50 and then all the way to 78.17. And in the long run, I'm guessing that we are going towards 80. So let's look at the US dollar, Canadian dollar. So also here, we have rallied above the 50 moving average. We are actually trading above the 50 moving average right now. And if we get another candlestick here tomorrow and take out these previous highs here, that could mean that we'll go up towards 13. So 13.00, that is very likely that we'll go there. Technical indicators are not very bullish. MACD is very bullish. Stochastic is not. It's technically flat at this point. The CCI is bullish and the RSI is bullish. So momentum is to the upside, but we have been here before. We rallied here above the 50 moving average and then declined. We rallied here and then declined. And so we have had these occasional rallies in the US dollar that affects this currency pair and other currency pairs. But at the moment, it's just a matter of waiting where this basically goes to. If we go all the way up to 13 and then turn around from here, then that is a massive selling opportunity. We are still in a downtrend, so this is a quite big of a rally, but we are still in the downtrend. So long-term perspective for this currency pair is that we are going to depreciate over time. So let's look at the cryptocurrency market. We'll start by looking at Bitcoin. So cryptocurrency have been all over the place. This has not, Bitcoin has not been the one that has been most volatile recently. That was XRP. We'll look at that just in a few minutes. But as you can see here in Bitcoin, 20 exponential is major resistance at the moment, and the 50 moving average is major support. So it will be interesting to see what basically happens when the 50 moving average travels this way and the 20 exponential moves that way. They will cross Question is whether or not the 20 will move underneath the 50 moving average. That will be an indication that this trend will become bearish and not bullish, or that we basically rally from when we get close to the 50 moving average and head towards 40. So it is to be seen. If we break the 50 moving average, then we are going significantly lower. We could fall all the way down to 20. We could also fall all the way down to the 200 moving average at 17,000 at this point. But 50 moving average is holding very nicely. So pullback to the 50 is to be seen as a buying opportunity. So technical indicators are all over the place. There is really no help from the technical indicators at this point. MACD is bearish, stochastic is flat, CCI is flat, and the RSI is a little bit bullish. But seriously, we need an indication of continued trend towards the 40,000 or a break below the 50 in order to determine where we technically are going at this point. So let's look at Ethereum. So as you can see, we continue to bounce off the 20 exponential. Every single time we get close to the 20 exponential, we bounce. But momentum is not the same as it was here. We are gradually going sideways in this cryptocurrency. You can also see on the technical indicators, they are more bearish than they are bullish at this point. They are either flat or bearish. So a break below the 20 exponential, that opens the door all the way down to the 50 moving average of roughly 1,000. So this is currently at the daily chart is not overbought. It is not overstretched yet, but if you look at for example, on the weekly chart, you can see that we are significantly overbought. We are at the same area or price level as we were back in 2018, 2017, before we basically broke down. So it is almost a double top, you could almost say. So it's going to be interesting whether or not we will fall from here towards a 220 exponential moving average, or if we fall towards 1,000. So this period here, or most analysts that I have, papers I have read, say that this period is very different than what happened here. I don't think so. We are probably witnessing a very, very similar price action as we saw here. This looks like a complete bubble, and this was definitely a bubble, both in Ethereum and also in Bitcoin. So both are significantly overbought in the weekly chart. Technical indicators are turning around in the weekly chart. So if you look at the weekly, this does not look very bullish to me. It looks like that we are going to turn around here, head towards 1,000. We'll probably hit the 20 exponential at that point, and then we'll basically see whether or not we'll bounce from the 20 exponential. But my bet at the moment is that we are actually going towards 1,000, and then we continue higher. So let's look at XRP, because that was on a real wild ride today. So you can see this candlestick here. We actually fell from 0.7552 all the way down to 0.3550. So it lost more than half of its value today. So it rallied all the way here, lost mostly half of its value. So this is very strange. I have not seen price action like this before. This looked like a pump dump, to be very honest, where people just pump it as far up as possible, and then somebody just pulls out the plug and everything just falls apart. So I said in my last video yesterday, I would not enter this market until we tested the 50 moving average and bounced off that. We almost got that today. I did not expect this move. It was up roughly 45%, nearly 50% at one point, and then it fell by 20-25%. So it was crazy, to be fairly honest. But we are still trading above the 50 moving average. If we test the 50 moving average and bounce from that, then it is a fairly good signal that we are going to continue gradually going higher. So that is interesting. I don't, hopefully nobody bought it up here and there was just sellers, because this was an absolutely horrible day for people that were trading on XRP. If you look at technical indicators, they have turned around and become extremely bearish at this point. But it will be interesting. I'm waiting still for that test of the 50 moving average or the 20 exponential moving average, whether or not this bounces off that, because this is a very cheap cryptocurrency compared to other cryptocurrency. And just a small amount of investment in this and it just hold it for several years could mean a massive, massive gain. But I'm still waiting for that bounce. So let's look at Litecoin. So as you can see, we had tried to rally here. We rallied up towards the 20 exponential and then broke down. And now we're trading underneath the 50 moving average. This is definitely not a good sign that when you try to rally, find major resistance at the 20 exponential and then break down. So at this point, I would not be surprised if we fell all the way down to 100, and probably also in the long run fell all the way down to the 200 moving average. If we don't manage to break above the 20 exponential, then we are going significantly lower in this cryptocurrency. So you can see that we are running into resistance here at the the first Fibonacci retracement. We are running into the next support is here at the 113, and all the way down to 61.8 is roughly at $100 or $97. So it'll be interesting to see. We are actually trading in a triangle here. We'll probably have a break to the upside or to the downside, but this is not looking very bullish for Litecoin. Technical indicators are also all over the place. MACD is bearish, the stochastic is bearish, the CCI is bullish a little bit. We're still trading on the zero, and the RSI is technically flat at this point. So yes, break above the 50 moving average and the 20, that's a bullish sign. If we break lower from here, then we're heading most likely down to 100. So let's look at NEO. So as you can see, we have tried to rally. We did manage to break above the 20 exponential and are trading above the 20 exponential at this point. So this is probably the cryptocurrency that I would favor, due to the fact that it is mainly used in China or in Asia, and they have a completely different way of looking at cryptocurrency as not just an investment tool and so on, but as something that you use in daily life. And if this becomes a way that Chinese public, which is 1.3 billion people, will use this cryptocurrency at every single day, and this could be absolutely huge. This could be rival both Ethereum, probably also Bitcoin in the long run. So yes, but we are at 22 at this point, is far away from 42,000. So it will be interesting to see what happens in this cryptocurrency going forward. So looking at these technical indicators, they are looking like they are ready to go to the upside. So if we break, if we get another candlestick here above the 20 exponential, then we're heading to $25, and then we're heading to these previous highs here at $28. So this cryptocurrency started off being, well, fairly high valued. You can see that we were all the way up at $134 for NEO, and since then it just has tumbled since basically at the same time that Bitcoin and all of the other cryptocurrencies tumbled. But now we're seeing a gradual grind to the upside. Actually, a fairly healthy move, not parabolical in any way. So yes, I could see this in 1 year time going up to 50, doubling your money, probably all the way up to 100 in in 1 year or 2 years time. So a long-term perspective for this is looking really good, and also because it's used so commonly that it will probably soar at some point to the upside. So let's look at the commodities and precious metals market. We'll start by looking at oil. So as you can see, we'll need to go to the daily chart. Yes. So we are up roughly 3%. So I think I said this several times. We were going to trade sideways. We are going to hit the 20 exponential, and then we're going to pop to the upside. And we did that exactly here. So this was fairly rare due to the fact that the US dollar was appreciating at the same time as this was rallying. Usually the US dollar has major effects on oil. But at this point, that did not happen here. We rallied above 3%. We're trading at $53.25, and we are most likely going to head towards 55. So yes, a very good day for WTI oil. Technical indicators are turning around, looking very bullish at this point. So we are most likely going to go higher towards the 55 level. If you were thinking about entry here, it is fairly risky to enter at this point. You should have entered it here. And you had a stop loss underneath and a target of these previous highs of roughly 53.96, give or take, or 54, or even in the long run to 55. So we will most likely run into major resistance in this area. I can also look at the weekly chart. We can see that we are running into the 200 moving average, and we need to break the 200 moving average to go higher. If you manage to do that, then 55, probably 60 is also possible from here. But a breakdown from here could open the door to all the way down to the 20 exponential moving average, and that is very, very far down. But I don't think that is going to happen anytime soon. So let's look at natural gas, because that was very interesting today due to the fact that weather conditions in the United States, especially on the East Coast, have changed drastically. So my previous analysis was that we are going to drop towards the 200 moving average. Then we had a massive snowstorm in the East Coast, and is still raging. And every single time there is a fall in temperature or snowstorm whatsoever, this market just goes parabolical to the upside. People use natural gas in order to heat their houses and factories and so on. So demand for natural gas explodes every single time there is bad weather conditions, especially when it gets really, really, really cold. So we could head towards 3, depending on how long these conditions last. And if this only lasts for a very short period of time, we could see this very well tumble back to the downside. So this was, you could basically say, normal demand. This is basically what happens when you have a snowstorm in the United States. And this basically is what happens when things really become parabolical. You can just absolutely explode to the upside, and usually this happens in winter time. So we haven't seen this kind of move. You could basically argue that this was one of them, but this was basically, it was too early. It was it was actually too early. It started to gradually decline towards the 50 moving average, and now it has rallied. But if this continues for a long time, we could actually see a spike similar to this one. So pay attention to the news. It really helps to determine where we're technically going. Also, it doesn't really help that Biden basically said a stop to more to more discovery of natural gas and oil in the United States. So let's look at copper. So as you can see, we have fallen yet again today. We are trading right here at the 50-moving average. And at this point, I think that we are going to see copper rally to the upside. 50-moving average is holding very nicely. And usually when that is the case, you can see it back here. You see these massive rallies to the upside. If the US dollar, for example, starts depreciating, yes, then you are going to see copper prices rally quite significantly. Target here is 3.7. That is the target at this point. So yes, stop loss underneath here and a target of 3.7. So let's look at gold. So as you can see, we have tried to rally to the upside, and at the moment we are above the 20 and the 50 moving average. So we are in this triangle here and are trying to break out of this triangle, and we have pierced it today, but we have pulled back. So we're still not ready to get out of this triangle. We could pull back to the downside. However, I do expect the US dollar to start depreciating at some point, and that will basically be very bullish for gold. But a break above this line, that opens the door to 1900 and 1950 and all the way to 2000. So that is basically what we are waiting for. Technical indicators are looking very bullish for gold, so a slowly grind to the upside here, that could be an indication that we are ready to break out. But if you look at silver, silver just went a parabolical day. We went all the way up to $30 for silver. And this has something to do with the Reddit guys, or that is actually the news that the Reddit guys were basically pumping up these precious metals. Whether or not that is true, I don't know. I haven't read their feed and don't know if that is the case. I can imagine that if you put a story like that in the mainstream, people will start buying whatever at this point. So it may well be that people just heard that news and then just started buying silver because they were thinking silver was going to go parabolical. And it technically did. It did gap up and then rally quite significantly, but it also basically pulled down quite significantly. If you look at the Bollinger Band, we can see how far we are outside of the Bollinger Band. This never ever happens. This never ever goes well. Just say to buy things outside of the Bollinger Band here is just a recipe for disaster. You buy things when they are at support. You do not buy things when they are outside of the Bollinger Band. You will just lose a heck of a lot of money. At this point, we are going to test these previous highs again at the $27, and then we're heading back towards the middle of the Bollinger Band at $25. Moves like these, they also never last. We can just see when we had a parabolic move here, went outside, it just completely collapsed. So we could see an additional major pullback if enthusiasm for buying this goes away tomorrow. Then we're going back towards these previous lows. So let's look at platinum. So as you can see, we have rallied up towards the top of the Bollinger Band here. We are trading at 1126. And yes, we are most likely going to see a pullback when we get to the top of this Bollinger Band here. You can see that when we pierced it over here, we fell all the way down towards the 50-moving average, and that's most likely also what we're going to see here. So wait until we get back to the 20 exponential or the 50. That is your buying opportunity. Technical indicators are fairly bullish at this point, so we may see a few days of rally and then break to the 20 exponential, and that's your entry point. So let's look at Pallium. So as you can see, we fell all the way down to the bottom, to the 200 moving average. We are trading within this square here. We are way down here in the bottom. And usually what happens after this, we rally to the upside. So we can get rid of this. We are also outside of the bullish band here. That's why we saw this rally. We're still outside the bullish band. So technical indicators are also turning around. We may see a rally up towards the 50 at least. That's in the 23.57. And in best case scenario, we're going all the way up to 2.5. So that's how this market has been behaving. We rallied up to 2.5 and then broken down to these very lows at roughly 2.2 or the 200 moving average in this case. So let's look at aluminium. So as you can see, we fell quite significantly today. The problem here is that the 50 moving average and the 20 exponential are no longer acting as support, they're acting like resistance. As I said yesterday, it is very likely that we're going to test these previous lows here. And at this point, we are not really there yet, but we are very close. If these lows breaks of roughly 1931, we're going all the way down to 1900 and then much lower than that. So as long as the 20 and the 50 are acting as resistant, this is just going to go lower and lower. And yes, we'll see where this technically is going. At this point, there's no reason to enter this market whatsoever because it could at some point rally to the upside. But if you want to buy this, you should be in a move similar to this, where we are bouncing off the 50 and the 20, and not when we're trading underneath the 20 and the 50 moving average. So let's look at nickel. So as you can see, we have touched down underneath the 20 exponential. We have rallied above the 20, and now we're trading at above the 20. So this is a very encouraging sign. This basically looks like a move like this one. So if we get an opening tomorrow, which is very bullish, then that is a very good sign that we are probably going to test 18,434. Technical indicators are turning around, so this is a fairly bullish sign, also because we are above the 20 exponential, but we need another candlestick above here in order to determine that we are actually going to go higher. So let's look at sugar. So as you can see, we have rallied here. We are trading at 0.1616, and at this point, we are most likely going to these very highs. We're running some resistance here at 1626, but these highs here are 0.1670. That is our target at this point. 20 and the 50 are major support. So every time we get to the 20 or the 50, that is basically a buying opportunity. Technical indicators are turning around at this point. So yes, stop loss underneath here and a target of these very highs. So let's look at cotton. So as you can see, we have tried to rally and then broken down. We're still trading above the 20 exponential. Technical indicators are still not there yet. We can see the CCI and the RSI are flat, but the stochastic and the MACD are still very bearish at this point. So you have to look at the 1 hour chart, the 4 hour chart to see when these turn around, and that's a good indication that we are going to rally. So at this point, I think that our long-term target will be 0.85. So this is basically where we're most likely going to head to. So we have been bouncing off the 20 exponential, and then it'll just go higher and higher from here. Break below here, opens the door to the 50, and that would be absolutely enormous support. So let's look at cocoa. Yes, we are still here in the middle of nowhere, and if you saw my video from yesterday, I'm just going to say the same thing right now. There's no reason to enter this market until we break above the 50 or enter the market before we break below the 200 moving average. Then just stay away from this. It's just a pure gamble because we're technically in the middle of nowhere, just bouncing around and having no indication of really where we are going with this market. So let's look at wheat. So, no, what happened here? Yes, so as you can see, we have broken down quite significantly. This started to look really good until we ran into resistance here, fell down, rallied, and now we basically broken down yet again. So whether or not we are ready to go significantly higher, that is the question. This candlestick here does not give a lot of well, quite a lot of pessimism in this candlestick here. So we'll probably head back to the 50 moving average. Technical indicators are all turning around, so we'll may go back towards the 50 and then rally from there. At this point, yes, it is very uncertain where this basically goes. If we get a kind of green candlestick here, take out this top, then we're probably going ahead to 700. So let's go and look at the indices. So we start by looking at the S&P 500 or SPX 500 in Ethereum. And as you can see, we have rallied quite significantly today, all the way up towards the 20 exponential, and then we basically stop. Whether or not we break the 20 exponential, that is to be seen. If we do that, then that's a very clear sign that we are going to continue this trend up towards 4,000. Otherwise, we are probably going to break back towards the 50 moving average and then go lower. So as I said in my analysis yesterday, we have been rallying since the beginning of November. We needed basically a pullback. How big of a pullback this is going to be, it could actually go much lower. So for example, we could go all the way down to 3,600 or all the way down to 3,550, or even in the worst case scenario down towards 3,470. That is possible. We'll have to see. This was a very encouraging sign, but usually when you have 3 days of decline like this, you have a major rally. Technical indicators are turning around, so they are looking fairly positive. So let's look at the Dow Jones. So the Dow is still trading underneath the 50 moving average. Main reason why I have not entered a buy on this or did not trade it is because this looks very bearish to me too. So if you look at the Fibonacci retracements for this, you can see that we could fall all the way down to 29,300 or down to the 50 at 28,700, give or take, and all the way down here to 28,000. That is also possible. So we'll see how far we'll go, but we have also had this massive rally here. So you could see pullback all the way down to roughly 29,000 and then continue. As long as we're trading underneath the 50 moving average, there's no reason to enter this whatsoever. So we need to break above the 50 and the 20 exponential and trade above that, and they are being support, not resistant as they are at this point. So let's look at the Nasdaq. So we did a fairly nice trade in the Nasdaq. It has rallied above 3% today. I am expecting a pullback towards the 20 exponential later on, probably in Asia session, and then you can basically re-enter this. So probably a pullback towards 13,000. That is what we are going to witness. But the 50 moving average was a massive support. So yes, take advantage of a pullback here. Technically, every pullback at the Nasdaq at this point is a buying opportunity, but this is a very, very bullish candlestick, and well, technically, usually when you have this kind of bullish stick, you also have a minor pullback, and then you can re-enter this market. But at the moment, target here is 14,000. So we are continuing this trend towards 14,000. So let's look at the DAX. So as you can see, we have rallied, but I did not enter this market also because we are trading underneath the 50 and the 20. We're rallied above the 50 now, but we were trading underneath the 50. So the 20 is most likely going to be a major resistant, and we could actually tumble even further down. So we need a clear test of the 20 exponential and to see basically where we are going after that. So until that happens, I'm just going to stay away from this market. Otherwise, rally above the 20 exponential, that opens the door all the way up to these previous highs here at 1,440, give or take. Technical indicators are turning around, so this may be the bottom, but still it's pure gamble just to enter this for a buy at this point. So if you have any questions, just write to me on Patreon. Otherwise, good luck and thank you very much.